And welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our show brought to you by Benedict Construction. You see the website right there. You know, the trick is when you have knee surgery, you go to a specialist. When you want a pool put in, you go to a specialist. When you want to remodel your home, go to the specialist. Go to Benedict Construction. They specialize in remodeling kitchens, baths, dens. They do it all, and they do it well, and they did it here on this set. They are the folks who built this set, including our Benedict Construction big wipey board, which is over there across the set. There it is. They did that. Now, you can only see the glass there, but if you pulled it out, it would be a beautiful shot of all kinds of wood and stone. But anyway, they do great work. On that board, though, right now, right there, some numbers from SEC football history. All right, this is the last 10 years, last decade. And I was looking, so this is 4 years with 14 teams, 6 years with 12 teams. Doesn't it seem like yesterday Missouri and Texas A&M were coming into the SEC?
Yes.
This will be their 5th season.
Oh,
that's stunning. Anyway, what you've got on the left-hand column, you don't have to read it all. I can break it down for you. 0 losses. How many SEC teams at the end of the year, and we're not talking conference record, we're talking overall, there have been 2 undefeated SEC teams in the last 10 years. So there's 0.2 per year. All right, 1 loss. There were 7 SEC teams over that time that had 1 loss, so 0.7 a year. 2 losses, where everybody thinks Tennessee's kind of going to fall 10-2 at the end of the year. There have been 17, which means there are 1.7, less than 2 teams a year in the SEC that do the 10-2 thing, okay? So that's a little fewer than I thought we would have there, to be honest, when I saw the numbers. Then you look over at the SEC records, only 5 teams in the last 10 years have gone 8-0. So when you consider you got 2 divisions, that's a pretty small number, 5 in 10 years. Then you got 15 who went 7-1, 17 who went 6-2 in the conference. To be honest, I think Tennessee's probably between that 7-1 and that 6-2. But let me ask you guys, now that you've looked at these numbers and you look at the percentages, there's fewer than 2 teams a year go 10-2 in this conference. Does that confirm what you thought for the Tennessee's record in terms of conference and in terms of overall record? Does it change it at all?
It changes it to me. It tells me the odds are very much against you, and it's going to be very difficult to get that 10-2. Much more difficult than I think a lot of people think. History says it right there on that chart. Pretty obvious.
All right. Changes Chuck's thinking a little bit. Anybody else? Or
you know, I'm not. It doesn't change my thinking. I'm more worried about Tennessee's history than the SEC numbers, simply because of the way the Florida-Alabama things have gone. Coach Majors couldn't beat Alabama. Coach Fulmer couldn't beat Florida. So far, Coach Jones hadn't been able to do it against either one of them. So I'm still going to stick by my 10-2, but I think I just named the 2.
You're going to wonder how many people we have. Josh and Mike.
I do think Tennessee has to get to at least 10-2 to win the East. I know it's down a little bit, and there's thought it could go back and forth. I think that's still going to at least be the case, 6-2 in the SEC. It doesn't change my thinking that much, though, because non-conference, I think Tennessee should win all 4 games. And after the Alabama game, South Carolina and on, Tennessee should be okay. So you have 4 really tough games to where 2-2 is possible, but worse than that would be a big problem.
There's typically one team that steps up that no one anticipates, whether that's a Missouri or someone else. There's one team on that schedule that we're all looking at and not thinking anything about that could come up and bite them this year. I think that's possible. But in terms of my overall feeling, maybe a little tougher to get to 10-2 than I thought. I didn't think the numbers would be that small in terms of teams that were putting that kind of success up there. Mike, I'll let you close it out.
Yeah, I think 10-2 will be tough too, because I don't see the two teams that are going to beat them for sure. I mean, I think a lot of people are basing what they think on Florida history or Alabama history or numbers.
I know somebody.
It's this season. We're talking about 17 guys coming back.
So you're saying 12-0?
4 losses by 17 points. I'm between 11-1 and 12-0. When you just break it down game by game. Take a look at it. Well, because of this last year, because of that, or this history, or Philip Fulmer. Look, forget about it. It's about this year. We're talking about 5 for 25, right? 5 losses in the last 25
points.
4 by 17 last year. Look, I promised myself I wouldn't bring up Michigan State, but I got to. 5 losses by 13 points. The next year they're going to the Rose Bowl. Should have played for the national title. When you're that close, John, a good coach and a staff with one vision can put you over the edge. And that's what I'm hearing from these Tennessee recruits.
So they'll be the third team in the past 10 years to go undefeated.
It just tells you they're due, right?
So they're the third team. Well, it tells you somebody in the SEC's due. So in your opinion, you look at those numbers and say, well, there's only 2/10 of a team that does every year, but Tennessee's on pace for it.
They got Alabama and Florida at home.
You nailed it. There you go. You're now the most popular guy on this set, I can tell you that. Because everybody out there, hell yeah, 12-0. All right. When we come back, more big issues, including one position that really needs to show improvement this year. We'll discuss. Coming back on the Sports Source.